Welcome back, and we have a very special guest. So tell me, where do you work at?
I currently work at SPS Commerce as a consultant, and SPS Commerce is a retail supply chain company, so I do EDI work.
Okay. So SPS Commerce has been a big sponsor of many initiatives that we've been involved with outside of the Altitude Show with Minnesota State and National Consortium for Women in Technologies, and a lot of interns go into SPS Commerce. So what type of technologies do you actually use there? I know I've looked through your whole profile, it's quite impressive, but a full stack developer, front end developer?
So I am not actually doing that at SPS Commerce. I am
Okay.
currently enrolled at the University of Minnesota.
That's what I saw.
So I'm doing a full stack web development boot camp right now. So learning front and back end.
That's
So
right.
and then back end React.
Yeah. How did you get into this particular line of field?
So so I did a career change 360.
Really? Okay.
So I have my undergrad degree in family social science, so nothing to deal with tech. But I was also interested in the healthcare industry, so I
Okay.
kind of knew where I was going. Right out of undergrad, I went straight to my master's. So I have my master's in healthcare administration and human services from St. Mary's University of Minnesota. And then I got a role at Marsh & McLennan Agency. I was a consultant there, workers' compensation consultant. I realized that job and that career was not a fit for me. So last year, I decided just to up and quit my job. So I quit my job, just to be honest, was unemployed for 6 months, just trying to find myself and figuring out what I wanted to do. And then I participated at York, with York. I don't know if you heard of York. They're a project manager training development course, that training program that they do.
Okay.
So I did that, and then I landed a job at SPS Commerce as a consultant. So
Fantastic.
that's how I got into tech. My sister is also a project manager.
Okay.
She works at Braun Intertech, and she was the one that kind of led me to tech.
Spurred you on into
Spurred me
tech,
on there.
yeah.
So
That's
That-
amazing.
yeah.
So really, you hadn't even thought about going into tech when you first started your career.
no,
Interesting.
that was not an interest of mine. That was nothing that I was interested at all. I was more interested in the healthcare side of things. But I do still have an interest in healthcare. So my end goal with this whole boot camp is to get into product. So I do want to eventually get into product management, but more on the healthcare side of things. So healthcare product management.
Gotcha.
That's what I want to do. That's my goal.
And a number of our students that we run into in the high schools, and I always think of Humboldt first because I see a lot of young ladies, when they pass our booth, they say, oh no, we don't want to deal with tech. And then I asked them, I said, well, if you don't want to deal with tech, how are you going to be a nurse of the future? Or how are you going to be a doctor of the future? Because isn't technology going to take over everything? Are we going to be able to do surgery? And they do it today in experimental cases, right? Where you can actually do surgery remotely through robotics, through very stable internet connections and whatnot. So tech has to be a very important part of every single industry. And so I applaud you for giving back, reaching back, and bringing that technology back into that space. And you would be a perfect role model to come and speak to some of the students that we have, because healthcare is so important. It took me a while to realize how important health was, but that whole industry really also needs some retrofitting and some alignment to make sure that we're going down the right path as well.
Yep, and people don't understand. I think people think you got to be a doctor, you got to be a nurse, you got to be more in that professional field than being in tech. But I feel like now that I've been in tech and that I have a healthcare background and I do have a master's in a healthcare administration role, I do know that tech is our future. We need to make products and devices that we can use in the future, right? So that's why I've kind of transitioned back. I'm like, I know I want to be in healthcare still.
Right.
That's where my passion is. And I love being in the tech field, and I want to be in product management, product design, be able to be in that field and sit there and design these products so we can have a better healthcare system. And
So if you had
devices.
to turn back the pages of time, what would you give advice to like a 10th or an 11th grader, knowing what you know today and knowing the passion that you have for what you originally were going after and then what you actually are pursuing now? How would you help them architect their next steps or next moves after high school?
So I have a sister that's actually graduating right now, senior year so she got accepted at St. Thomas, and she's trying to figure out, what am I going to do? She's smart. She loves math. She wants to get into. She wants to be a doctor. But then she also is a Genesis intern at Target. Genesis Works.
Yep.
So she's in the tech industry right now. Because I pushed her. I'm like, check it out. But it's like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't understand. This stuff is just sitting at the desk. So I feel like giving kids more exposure when they're in high school will kind of help them get into the tech industry or just create what they want to do. But not having any exposure and just going through high school and then going to undergrad and also not getting any exposure, you really don't know until you're in your career and you're experiencing that. So I think that's what kind of shaped me for where I'm at in my life right now. It's because I didn't have those experiences. It's what my mom was telling me, what I thought I was passionate in, but not having any exposure, not having enough internships. So I think being involved would be one thing I would tell kids to do, and just try to see what's out there, because there's more out there that we don't know. And even for myself, this year I went to Afrotech, and I had the opportunity to see different tech fields, different things that people are doing, sports tech. I'm like, oh, what's that? That's such a thing, but it's just being out there and having the exposure and getting the experience.
Oh, yeah, and the industries that are evolving even today.
Yeah.
You know, with the Minnesota STEM partnership and even through Power Up IT, what we try to do is have the students exposed to advancing and emerging technologies, you know, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, but through the stimulus of robotics and drone racing and competitions like that. So I totally get it, and I applaud.
And
you
I
for
didn't
your
know
work.
that in high school nor in undergrad nor a year ago what artificial intelligence was until I got into tech now. So it's not knowing the unknown.
So to wrap up, what do you do for fun? Is there anything you do outside of all this tech work that you really enjoy doing?
So my passion, I'm a very creative person, so I love to draw.
Okay.
And also I've been into the gym kind of thing, just more health and wellness. And that's my thing, it's just working out and drawing. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. It works. So trust the process.
Yes, trusting it.
And to that point, we have a new program that just started called STEAM Fit. And so in the June episode, we'll have a person on to talk about that, but we might want to talk about that afterwards. And so at the end of this show, I thank you so much for coming. You have a wonderful day, and thank you for giving your time to the youth.
Thank you.
All right.